make sure I hit that button because this is okay. There we go. We're good.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm talking to you. Hey.
Hey boos, welcome to Sips and Tips, episode 8.
Is it?
I think it's 8. If it's not, I'll put the correct number in the title. But welcome to Sips and Tips. As you can see, obviously we have a very special guest. He's been on the channel a few times before. You know him, you love him. Welcome, Dimitri.
Hello.
I always like him on my channel. It's fun. we do some fun collabs. Like it's a good time. Today we're making a bit of an experimental sip. I'm not gonna lie. If you watch my previous video, you know I'm moving. So supplies, resources are a little, I don't want to say scarce, but like, you know what I mean? It's, you know, we're doing the best we can with what we got, in the words of Mariah.
I'll do the best I can with what I got.
Okay,
Exactly.
so.
But this just also goes to show just how, you know, you can just find things that you have at home.
Exactly.
make
And
something.
also how you will always be provided for, because let me tell you, when I got over here, because we're filming at Dimitri's place, obviously, my apartment is in shambles. So we're filming over here. We have a brand new bottle of tequila, unexpected.
I didn't even know.
Didn't know. And then this morning, I went to brunch with one of my favorite aunties. Shout out to you, Auntie Barb. Love you so much. She went to Japan and was like, hey, I brought you back this blueberry honey delicacy syrup. Huh? So we're using what we have, but we're going to make something really good.
From around the world.
From around the world. Like, you know, we're blessed. We're blessed. Like I said, this is going to be very experimental, but I don't have a name for this yet, but we're essentially just going to be making a tequila cocktail with this blueberry honey syrup. We also have the guava Sao Paulo. Shout out to LaCroix. You guys already know how I feel about this. And some ginger ale. So we're just gonna see like what flavor profile will work best and go from there. So let's start. So we have our cups of crushed ice. Let's crack open our Milagro.
I'm so excited actually. When we were first talking about the ingredients, I was like, okay, that sounds good. But right now, the second time, I was like, that sounds really good.
Ooh, you know?
I'm ready.
It's giving summer too. Like, you know, the blueberry and the honey and the tequila and you know, like, you just gotta make it do what it do sometimes. Like sometimes you just, you gotta get creative. Okay, do we wanna do 1 or 2 shots of, see, he's a bad influence. I don't even know why I asked him that, because I already know he's gonna be like, do 5.
Let's start with 2.
And for me,
Oh, that is a...
I know I'm like,
It's a lot of ice, so it looks
is a
like
lot
it's
of
a
ice.
lot more...
do you wanna do 1.5?
Maybe. Let's start with 1.5. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So then you
you
can
know?
just... Yeah.
Okay,
Is a shot an ounce?
yes.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought, but... I was like,
Right? I mean, my bartenders and mixologists, please chime in because I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure a shot is an ounce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me know. Now we're gonna crack open this blueberry honey. Like, this is literally from Japan, y'all. Like,
This I'm excited about.
I'm really shook. Again, shout out to my auntie Barb.
How
She's
cute.
like, look at the bottle.
It looks like a baby bottle
It does
pop.
look like a baby bottle.
Baby bottle pop.
If you're a 90s baby, you know what we're talking about. But yeah, it says honey with blueberry flavor for drinks, breads, and desserts. So it's kind of like a multi-purpose situation.
Oh, it's like thick.
Yeah, it's like a legit syrup. I'll let you like pour. Oh, okay, so this is what the top looks like.
How cute. This is
Very
I'm
cute.
so excited about it.
I'll let you pour your own, but like a little drizzle of that,
I kind
you
of
know?
want to taste it first.
You're
to
right.
see
We
how
should.
much
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna just...
Go ahead. Yeah.
I washed my hands at some point last week.
We
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
we washed our hands.
Oh, I'm gonna pour a lot more than you did in there.
Oh, that's good.
That is good.
Oh, that's really, really. Oh, this is good.
This is gonna be
Listen.
incorporated in my... I hadn't figured out how to get this.
Right,
This
I'm like,
is really good.
I'm like, if I can find a link or something, I will link it below. Cause this, oh, Auntie Barb, you did your big one with this. This is good. I mean, I can say it comes from, I don't know if it's Sugi. I'm assuming Sugi, SUGI B Garden. So
Suji be good.
if I can link it, I'll link it. But It's really good.
It
Like
is
it's
good.
really good.
It tastes like a certain kind of like candy from back in the day. It's like-
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and stir. And then once we stir, because she's thick, she's you gotta kind of, you know.
This is one of those.
Work it in. Right. If you have a cocktail shaker, that would probably be ideal, but we're gonna stir it today. I think there's also like blueberry puree in this too, so it's like not separating, but like, you know, it's, you could see the puree in it, you know? Which like topper, is that the right word?
I feel like we should have two. Which one are we gonna start with though?
Right.
Well, let's start with, I think this one might go a little bit better.
The guava Sao Paulo. Okay, let's try that.
Just because I kind of want to just taste this, like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
kind of not on its own necessarily, but.
Because this, if you haven't tried the LaCroix, it really does have like a nice guava flavor, but it's very subtle because obviously it's the sparkling water. There's no like sugar or other additives. So yeah, I think it'll bring out the flavor of the blueberry honey very nicely. We added that. We're gonna stir it and see what it tastes like. Like I said, this is very experimental. Like,
But I don't know. I'm really.
I think it'll be good.
I've lots of hope here.
I do too. Let's take our straw. Let's see if we like our creation. Cheers. I like it.
This is really good.
It's good.
This is good.
Okay.
It's definitely a sip.
Oh, I like this.
And I'm not a fan of tequila. Like anybody who knows me knows that I'm like,
I'm a tequila girl. I'm
And this
definitely a
is-
tequila girl.
this is good.
This is good. Because honestly, like the blueberry honey, it kind of cuts
Yeah,
the tequila. Like,
it really does.
wow.
You
I'm
can tell me
shook.
that there's.
I'm shook.
You can taste the tequila. And you saw it was 1.5 ounces.
Right? Like, this is actually it's kind of dangerous because you really don't taste the tequila like that, honestly. We made our sip. Now we're gonna transfer over to the couch. You already know the drill and get into today's advice segment. And today we're doing things a little bit differently. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Okay, so today, why did I hit my phone like that? Anyway, today we're doing our advice segment a little wee bit different because if you don't know, if you have any advice, topics, anything that you want me to discuss on Sips and Tips, please DM me on either Instagram or TikTok. That'll always be in the description. But we decided that we wanted to look to Reddit and look at kind of their advice columns, if you will. I know a lot of people like to do like am I the scenarios and things like that. I didn't want to bite off of that, but I did want to kind of look at their advice segment. So today we want to talk about boundaries and specifically setting boundaries within friendships. So we picked 2 different stories and scenarios that we found from Reddit. They basically came from the advice subreddit, I believe that's what it looks like. So let's get into the first one.
So the subject is how to amicably break up with a friend without ghosting them or causing a scene. Here's the story. Remember the story?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sort of an awkward situation. Wait, come over here. I have this friend who I used to enjoy, or at least not mind hanging. So sorry. That's hilarious to me. This is what the person said.
Crazy.
I have this friend who I used to enjoy, or at least not mind hanging out with.
Not mind is crazy.
That's crazy. We've had 2 falling outs, and the last one was kind of their fault. I don't want to make a big scene, but I also don't want to continue our friendship. They actually have a lot of friends, and I'm more of the introverted one. I honestly don't know how we even became friends in the first place. I feel like we don't even have much in common, and I honestly don't love spending time with them. Sometimes they say things that aren't the kindest. For example, they made a comment about someone being introverted and sitting alone, even though I'm introverted and often do that. Yeah, that's messed up. When people, you know
Yeah, a little
that,
shady.
and then you,
A little shady, yeah.
They think we've made up and want to even work on this group project with me. I was prepared to just say, hey, I think I need some time away, but when they came to apologize, I just chickened out and felt so awkward being rude to them. especially since they didn't know anything majorly wrong or didn't do anything majorly wrong. And now they think we're good again. I don't know how to break up with them without hurting their feelings.
So essentially, again, the question is how to amicably break up with a friend without ghosting them or causing a scene. Honestly, when I was looking at this, I thought about a situation that I've gone through specifically because that has happened to me, where in my personal opinion, just to like cut to the chase, I don't really think there's a way to do that. Like, we were just talking and I was saying that when it comes to like a relationship, like a romantic relationship, I think there's a way to amicably break up, right? Where it's like, okay, even though we're not romantically involved, we can still be friends. We can still be platonic friends. We can still be cool, right? But when you're friends with someone and it's a platonic situation, if you're not friends anymore, then what are you? Like, you're nothing at that point. So you don't necessarily have to be enemies. It doesn't have to be ugly. You can still be cordial. But I feel like there is no amicable breakup. Like, you guys just won't be in each other's lives anymore. Like I was saying, I mean, this definitely kind of rings true for a situation that I was in where I kind of ghosted someone. But it was just like, what do you want me to say? Like, I just feel like it's so uncomfortable and so mean to like sit someone down and be like, hey girl, I don't like you anymore. Like, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm someone who, I just kind of like fade away, kind of fade out. And like, you know, obviously you'll feel the absence and then we just like kind of stop talking. But what do you think about this
Honestly,
scenario?
same exact thing. Like, well, and I don't know if it's the best advice. Maybe there is an amicable. I don't think so. Honestly,
I don't think so either,
I just feel
honestly.
like, yeah, it's awkward to sit down a friend like you were just saying and be like, yo, like,
here's the
yeah,
scroll
because then
of
what's
what I
af-
don't like.
because then what's after that, right?
Right.
Like, there's not going to be
Nothing.
anything after that. So like she said, like you don't have to be enemies, but there's not going to be anything after.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I've been in this situation a lot. Okay, let's not say a lot. It makes me sound very toxic.
A lot.
But
Like, damn, you got friends.
I went through this era of like, okay, I needed to like protect my peace. So I did this.
Which is important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I did a cleanse, if you may.
Same.
And yeah, and the cleanse was more so just like, okay, like more distant. Because it's like,
Yeah.
I don't hate you. I just
Right.
realized that like, this
You
ain't
just
that.
don't vibe, yeah.
Sometimes you meet a friend and you hit it off and then you learn them and you're like, or you get to know them and they just are really nice people. So yeah, I just fade off. I just, stop showing up when they invite and then they get the hint and stop
And then
inviting
it's
and
over.
then that's it. You
Yeah,
know?
I
That's how
agree.
do it.
I agree. And I know, like, maybe there's a better way to handle that, but in my personal experience and, just what I've been through, I just feel like, to me, I think it's better to kind of, like, slowly fade out than to, like, make it this big
Ordeal.
argument or like,
Exactly.
I personally think that's more mature.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Well, there's
I
a
don't know.
situation where I had a friendship that ended, and I was kind of the one on the receiving end of the drifting,
The
I guess.
breakup,
Like
yeah.
the breakup. Like
Yeah.
it was clear that they just weren't feeling me as a friend anymore. And I already had my reasons where I was like, okay, I don't know, like there were just some reasons where I just knew the friendship was gonna last. Okay. But like they were the ones who like started the
Yeah.
distance and
Yeah.
the like not showing up to the plans or flaking and I got the hint and I was like, well, first of all, thank you, because now I don't have to be the one, like, but I get the
Now
hint.
they did
and
the
I
work
just-
for you.
Exactly. They did the work for me, so I was like, all right, peace out, and we just
Yeah.
drifted, and like
Yeah.
there was no awkward conversation
Yeah.
or anything. So
And it's, again, you don't have to be enemies. Like, I think people need to really get out of this concept of, like, just because you're not friends with someone, you're enemies with them. Like, it doesn't have to be beef. It doesn't have to be ugly. You can still be cordial. It's just sometimes you grow apart.
Mhm.
You don't, vibe with people the same. But it doesn't have to be ugly. Like, you can still wish them well. You can still be cool. Like, don't make enemies. Like, just because you're not friends doesn't mean that you're enemies. That's my biggest thing.
exactly, especially like because with friends, there's like a circle sometimes.
So, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes when you and a friend have a falling out, they're a mutual friend. So you're gonna be in the same setting.
Gotta know how to act.
You gotta know
like,
how to act.
right.
This isn't Real Housewives. This
Okay.
is real life. I'm
You
just
can't
kidding.
be, throwing tables and, flipping tables and stuff. Like, so our second advice segment from Reddit, the title says, "Am I maintaining boundaries or am I being a fair weather friend?" Let's get into the scenario. I've always had a problem with becoming too emotionally affected by other people's troubles. In this case, my friends. When they vent to me, I try to pay full attention, comfort them, help them think of a solution. Afterwards, I feel exhausted and stressed and spend hours to days worrying about them. During a low point in my mental health, I went to see a therapist and they advised me to start setting boundaries. Long story short, I ended up ghosting some of my friends in pursuit of acquaintances who, for lack of better wording, have their together. I definitely could have handled it better, but at the same time, my mind has been more at ease not having to think about them. But now I feel ridiculously oversensitive to any venting or complaining. At best, I could say a few sympathetic passing remarks, but at risk of sounding cold or uncaring, and even then, I'll be exhausted from the interaction. If I let myself get any more involved or try to help them, I feel that old same panic of, if I don't solve this problem for them, I might lose them as a friend. So far, I've mostly skated by on simply making myself unavailable at those times, but that just makes me look ingenuine or that I don't care for them. But I do, too much, apparently. At what point does looking after my own mental health just become me abandoning my friends in need of emotional comfort? How can I be a good person, a supportive friend, when just the act of acknowledging someone else's pain fills me with anxiety and panic and guilt? Woo! Thoughts?
That's the deep one.
Thought-
I didn't get it, so we're
Okay.
just gonna welcome our friends. No, we're not. We gotta take care of this problem.
Right? Hello. The question was, am I setting a boundary or am I being a fair weather friend? That was like the title of it.
Mhm.
At what point are you a bad friend and disconnected
Yeah.
versus are you just taking care of your mental health and like doing what's best for you?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think that's definitely a question for an individual's therapist. But no, on an advice level, I think it just like I think what it really comes down to is probably just a balance, right? Or like where are you at in your mental state? Like, do you really not have that capacity at all? And you can't be there at all. Like, and your friend should be understanding of that, right? If it's just depending on that level. But also, I think there is a point when people kind of just, what am I trying to say? I didn't even know.
The liquor is hitting.
I do have a situation.
I like situations.
And honestly, it's kind of the same friendship that I mentioned earlier. There was a lot of like mental health going on that end. Then it became like mental health was like the reasoning why, and I was of course always understanding. And but then it was like, okay, but then I'm seeing behaviors of like what you're saying isn't matching what your
Their actions. Their actions.
It kind of became an excuse, and I hate to say that because that's so like when it comes to mental health, right? You don't want to ever say somebody's recording with that damn AC on.
It's fine. I think it's fine.
I always forget to do this. when I
Okay.
do. I hate it. Okay, anyways.
Quick intermission. So the same friendship, mental
Yeah.
health played a
Was
part.
it did play a part, and it was a lot of the reasoning why the cancellations would happen with the plans. And of course, I was always really respective of that. One, it became a pattern, which still could very much be the mental health. But then it was like, then I saw actions after that where it's like, okay, you didn't want to leave the house because of your mental state. You didn't have the capacity to be social. But then I see you being social on Instagram. So that is when it becomes like, are you using that to get out of something? Which you shouldn't do because mental health is extremely serious and is real. So
Right.
to use it as an excuse just gives people ammo. For me, it just all comes down to a balance and being real and really recognizing where you're at with your mental health.
It's definitely a balancing act because I understand, like when you're, first of all, when you're friends with someone, I think if you really genuinely love someone and you're like really friends with someone and you care about them, you care about what they're going through. And I know like, especially the older we get, like we're all going through something, like everybody's going through something, right? So I'm very sensitive to that, and I'm very sensitive to not wanting to like trauma dump on people and like complain. Like I'm very hyper aware of that. And so I'm also hyper aware of when friends are doing that. Luckily, I don't have friends that do that, which is great. But I think you have to, when it comes to the balance part of it, you have to figure out, okay, what is too much? And I think you have every right to tell your friends, like, listen, I want to be here for you. I want to support you, but you know, sometimes you trauma dump on me and I can't deal. You know what I mean? And I feel like if they're a good friend, if they're a genuine friend, they will understand that, and then they will try to maneuver, you know what I mean? But also as a friend, you have to kind of take accountability and be like, do you want to be there for people or not? Because when you are a friend, part of that responsibility is like being supportive, being, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like if you want to have friends and you want to like have a circle, have a support system, you can't just be like, I don't want to hear nothing that you're going through. Like, you can't do that as a friend, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you don't really care about having friends, or if you're cool being like solo, then okay. But if you really want to have genuine friendships, like come on. Because my thing is like, you want people to be there for you if you're going through things, right? So I think there's a way to set boundaries and, you know, not take on everyone's trauma and, you know, completely like engulf yourself in everyone's issues, while also still being a good friend and still like having your individuality. That makes sense.
Definitely.
So
give what you can. Give what you can.
Give what you can.
Yeah,
that's a great piece of advice. Give what you can.
I got that from what you just said. I was like, yeah.
Give what you can. That's perfect. Because sometimes like I know the perfect example is like right now, like I'm moving and like there's so much going on, and it's like I know right now is not a great time for me to be like taking on people's trauma. I'm dealing with my own so I can't do it. But there's other times where it's like, okay, like, you know, lay it on me, like let's talk. So it just depends on like where your friends are. Do what you can with where you're at. That's all you can do. But just, you know, still take accountability though for, if you want to be a good friend and you want to have, you know, genuine people in your circle, it's a give and take. So that was good.
I got it from what you were saying. I was like, well, okay, yeah.
Thank you. That concludes today's episode. I think we gave some solid advice. Shout out to Reddit. Again, if you have any topics, advice that you need, anything that you want me to discuss, please DM me on Instagram or TikTok. I think I will kind of go back to the subreddits and pick some advice from there, because that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that
so
was.
I think I'll do that again. Thank you so much for being on another episode.
Of course, but thank you for having me.
Of course. Be sure to like this video if you like this video, subscribe, and until next time, cheers.
Cheers. Wow, you have to be a cheers.
I know.